Picture this. Monday morning. In a huge Wall Street office, a trader is watching charts, mapping risk, placing orders. And in the next room, his kid opens a laptop, launches CS2 and does the same thing. Only instead of Apple stock, he's chasing a karambit. Instead of the S&P 500, he's tracking Stockholm 2021 capsules. And instead of earnings calls, he's chasing leaks about new cases and skins. That is the part of CS2 the big sharks pretend not to see. Together with Steam, it's basically a fake shadow finance empire. And like any empire, it's got a dark side. Today we're breaking down how a kid's playing in a PC cafe hobby turned into one of the most engineered money markets on Earth, where 1 million people trade digital assets worth $6 billion while telling themselves they're just having fun. How did this scene build its own mafia and its own casino? And why behind all of it stands one of the smartest financial architects of our era? This will change how you see games and how you see modern finance. This is Market CSGO. Subscribe and let's go. Chapter 1. The Great Trick. Let's start with one number that should make you uneasy. $6 billion. That's the combined market value of every CS2 item at the end of 2025. For scale, that's more than the GDP of Moldova, more than Twitter was valued at before Musk bought it, and more than some companies sitting inside the S&P 500. Now here's the weird part. Open any finance newsfeed. Search CS2 or Steam Market. You'll get basically nothing. Wall Street analysts act like it's not real. Regulators act like it's not their problem. Meanwhile, right under their nose, there's a market that in a bunch of ways is stronger than legit exchanges. Why does that happen? Because this is the most genius camouflage in the history of finance. When people see a dude in a suit under 6 monitors watching candles, they think finance. When they see a teenager opening cases in a video game, they think LOL gaming. But let's look at what's really happening. Every single day, millions of people log into Steam and Steam Community Market and execute trades that are functionally the same as trading on NYSE or NASDAQ. They track supply and demand. They watch news that moves prices. They place limit orders. They run arbitrage between platforms. The only difference is that instead of Microsoft shares, they're flipping AK-47 skins. Instead of US treasuries, they're flipping music kits. Instead of commodity futures, they're flipping major stickers. And here's the wildest thing. Ask most of them directly if they're in finance. They'll tell you no. I'm not investing, bro. I'm just buying skins for fun. By the way, if you're trading skins and you don't want to get farmed, Market CSGO is your default tool. This is basically the perfect heist. Build a financial market so big and so complicated that regulators don't notice it, tax offices don't understand it, and half the participants don't even realize they're traders. So who's behind this whole machine? To answer that, we have to meet the guy gamers worship, and finance guys still don't get. And we have to see how this thing was born. When's the last time you played Counter-Strike? Before 2003, I literally played every day and I was always top 3. I'm glad Valve is running this, not Activision or whoever. Birth of an empire. It all starts with 2 modders, Minle and Jesscliff, building a Half-Life mod that will become the seed of one of the biggest digital economies on the planet. Counter-Strike starts as a straight-up game. No shop, no skins, no monetization. But one critical asset is already there. Loyalty. A fan base. Valve notices the potential fast and buys the rights. In the early 2000s, a boxed retail version drops. Still no skins, no cases. Just the game. But the base is poured. Millions of players, future liquidity, the bloodstream for a future virtual economy. Valve starts running experiments with in-game economies. Team Fortress 2 goes free to play. In 2010, we get the Man-Conomy update. First cosmetic store, loot cases, drop odds. That's the light bulb moment for Valve. You don't just sell a $60 box, you sell engineered digital scarcity. The business model is behavioral economics plus collecting. It gets tested and it works. 2012. Steam Community Market launches in beta. For the first time, players can buy and sell in-game items with Steam Wallet funds. This is not maybe I get lucky in a drop anymore. This is a real secondary market. Order book, price history, sales feed, limit orders. The economy now gets plumbing. Items move between users. Valve takes a cut. 2014, August, the arms deal. Update lands and flips Counter-Strike forever. weapon skins, collections, loot cases with rarity tiers, all that. Part of the revenue from esports branded cases flows into tournament prize pools, hardwiring the in-game economy to pro esports. 1 month later, we get trade-up contracts. Burn 10 skins of one tier, get 1 skin of a higher tier. Primitive crafting, and that matters, because it actively consumes supply and tightens scarcity. From 2014 through 2018, the market matures. Sticker capsules tied to majors drop. These are basically time-limited seasonal mints. You can only buy them in a narrow window. Half the revenue goes to teams and players. Valve publicly said that between 2021 and 2022 they paid out over $70 million via stickers. At the same time, first real regulatory heat shows up. In 2018, Belgium and the Netherlands classify loot boxes as gambling. Valve disables case opening in those regions. But here's the move. Trading finished skins stays open. So the casino shuts one room, keeps the cash cage. 2018 to 2019. Microstructure stabilizes. Next move shows how deep Valve understands markets. Steam introduces forced trade holds. Without mobile auth, item transfers can take up to 15 days. Official reason: anti-fraud. We're protecting your stuff. Real effect: total psychology shift. High-frequency flipping dies. Only longer horizon holders stay. The market calms down. Less volatility, more control. With one policy toggle, Valve kicks out hot money and turns the ecosystem into a collector/investor market. And nobody can accuse them of price fixing, because the story is safety. October 2019. Another clinic. Valve bans trading of fresh case keys. Again, public story, fighting fraud. Real effect: an entire gray currency dies overnight. Keys were a de facto stable unit. Gabe just proved he doesn't only control assets, he controls the rails. He can delete a currency pair with one update and frame it as "we care about you." Also late 2019, Operation Shattered Web hits. Asset class diversification. For the first time, CS gets agents, actual character models as tradable items. Then patches, graffiti, music kits. The market spreads out. Personalization equals product lines. 2021. PGL, Stockholm Major and Seasonal Power. Those 2021 major capsules smash activity records. The playbook is now fully dialed. Sell at full price during the event. End of event, 75% discount fire sale. After sale closes, no more supply ever. Scarcity kicks in. Price climbs. Valve farms tens of millions while also funding esports, which then boosts demand for cosmetics, which then fuels the next run. It's a loop machine. Spring 2023. Valve confirms what the community was already whispering about. Counter-Strike is moving to Source 2. The update ships not as a new game, but as a generation swap. Inventory, market, ecosystem all carry over. All items get ported into CS2. A multi-billion-dollar skin economy survives a full engine migration with zero downtime. The final CSGO major, Paris, becomes a farewell festival for the old era. At peak, the market goes vertical. Capsules sell by the millions, volumes hit records, rare skins explode in price, veterans lock in final inventory upgrades as souvenirs of the old world. June 2024. Public confirmation of an AK-47 case-hardened sale above $1 million. That's the "this is real money" moment. Mainstream outlets slowly start treating CS skins as an economic story, not a meme. By early 2025, the total CS2 item pool is valued around $4.3 billion, and by the end of the year, it climbs towards $6 billion. That's above the market cap of multiple listed US companies and above the GDP of some countries. Chapter 2. The Shadow Architect. His name is Gabe Newell. To millions of players, he's Gaben, the chubby meme dad of
Gabe
Steam,
Newell.
the Half-Life and Portal guy. Today we're talking about him as one of the most sophisticated financial engineers alive. Gabe's net worth sits in the multi-billion range. He did not make that by selling games, like casuals think. He made it by building a closed-loop financial ecosystem that the world agreed to call a gaming platform. Let's look at the structure. Steam is not just an app store. Steam is a vertically integrated private capital market where Valve plays 3 critical roles at once. Role 1, issuer. Valve mints items. Every knife, every sticker, every agent skin is an asset issued by Valve. In normal finance, that's called a primary offering. Role 2, exchange. Steam Community Market is a trading venue with order book, ticker, historical charts, but unlike NYSE or Nasdaq, there's no SEC, no FINRA. Because Valve is also role 3, regulator. They set the rules. They can freeze assets, they can rewrite mechanics, they can impose new limits, instantly, unilaterally, no vote, no hearing. In traditional finance, that level of absolute control is impossible. This is not just monopoly, it's post-monopoly. Rockefeller would blink. Picture Apple owning Nasdaq, listing its own stock there, and also writing all the rules for how, when, and by whom that stock can trade. No SEC, no DOJ, no antitrust. That's Steam. And somehow in gaming culture, everybody shrugs and says, yeah, makes sense, LOL. And the craziest part is that Valve gets paid at every step. They get paid when the asset is created. They get paid when the asset trades. And users are happy to pay because they don't frame it as finance. It doesn't feel like investing, it feels like customizing my loadout. But Gabe's genius is not just the structure, it's supply control and demand control. Look at case drops. Every new case in CS2 is not a loot box, it's basically an IPO. Thousands of people open the new case day one. That floods the market with first wave supply. Valve gets direct revenue off every open. The market gets liquidity. When you open that case, you're not just gambling, you're literally creating float. Tell your mom that next time. I'm providing liquidity. Then the magic move. After a while, Valve quietly stops dropping that case. What happens? Supply of those specific skins stops refreshing. Scarcity spikes. Prices climb. Early holders who sat on those skins from first wave are now in profit. Classic scarcity economics ported into digital assets running on autopilot. Another example of quiet brutality. Trade holds from 2018. Official PR line. Anti-scam. Actual effect, no more instant flip culture. You can't just buy and insta-dump. You're forced to think like a swing investor, not a day trader. Volatility drops. The market becomes more forecastable. Then later we get trade protection. More safety messaging. We already did a full breakdown on that, links in the bio. With one patch, Valve rewired the psychology of the whole market and nobody rioted because it shipped under the banner of user safety. People who were mad forgot in a week. So now ask yourself, is it an accident that the guy who built this system became a billionaire? Or is it the output of deep understanding of economics, market design, and human behavior? Chapter 3, Anatomy of the Illusion. Now we open the machine and see how it runs, and why millions of people are doing advanced financial operations while honestly believing this isn't serious. First, fees. Valve takes roughly 15% on every community market sale. That is enormous. For comparison, most retail brokerages in the US charge something like 0 to maybe 1/3 of 1% on a stock trade. Here it's 15. And people pay it with a smile. Why? Because the fee is wrapped in safety and convenience. Community market feels clean. Click, sold, done. No scammers in DMs, no chargebacks, no stress. And the money never leaves the cage. You sell a skin for $100. You don't get $100 cash. You get $85 Steam wallet credit. That wallet balance can only be spent inside Steam. On games, on more skins, on gifts. That's casino logic. Money flows in easily. Money basically never flows out. Because there is no official withdraw to bank button for Steam Wallet. You tell yourself you made money. In reality, you just rebought into the system and Gabe skimmed again. This is classic siege currency. In medieval towns under siege, they'd mint local tokens you could only spend inside the walls. Modern casinos use chips. Valve built Steam Wallet. And if you want to actually cash out to real-world money and escape the cage, cool. That's where the off-platform market steps in. That's where you use sites like market.csgo, the OTC-style skin for cash deals, controlled lower risk with escrow. Suddenly, you're out of the casino. But even that flow exists because the Valve ecosystem created demand in the first place. The most ruthless part of Valve's design, though, is information control. In normal finance, there's strict separation: issuer, exchange, broker, analysts, financial press, auditors, regulators. Everyone has a lane and public info flows to the market. In Steam World, Valve controls almost all of that. Want to know how many of a specific high-tier skin actually exist? That number is not public. Want official open rate stats on a specific case? Nope. Want roadmap timing for future content? Drops, which will clearly nuke or pump certain items. Valve reveals it when Valve feels like it, usually at the moment of the patch. By the way, if you don't want to miss those spikes, boosts, post-patch pumps, follow our Telegram. We post short bullet alerts and summaries. Link is pinned, so yeah, people are trading almost blind. They do not have access to core fundamentals that any regulated market would be legally forced to publish, and still they make buy-sell calls worth tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine if tomorrow Apple stopped publishing quarterly earnings and the New York Stock Exchange stopped reporting volume data. The stock market would implode instantly. In CS2, that level of opacity is normal. And not only does the market not die, it thrives. Why? Because the average participant does not self-identify as an investor. He's not building a position, he's saving a cool look. He's not analyzing macro, he's checking what's meta. He's not managing a portfolio, he's collecting. Language is policy. Language shapes reality. Valve uses that perfectly. But what happens when people finally understand what they're really doing? When they realize that their inventory is a portfolio, that their fund trades are structured market activity. A pro cast forms. And that's where it gets nasty. In the next part, we'll break down who the 7-figure ghosts of CS2 are and why you've never heard their names. How streaming culture turned into a funnel, pulling kids toward a casino. We're going all the way down into the underbelly of this shadow economy. Down where the game ends and the business starts. Down where some people farm money in a repeatable system built on the impulses of people who still think this is just fun. See you next time.